Hey y'all, welcome back to Ascending with Ashley. I'm Ashley, and this is Freedom Friday, and we're going to have a conversation quickly about why that strike last week didn't work. First of all, once it started picking up momentum, a lot of folks were digging deep and finding a lot of contradictions that were happening with the organizers of it. The way that I got on board was I saw an LGBTQ person commenting, they were white, about how they were sick of it, and I saw their TikTok get super traction. So this was a couple weeks before the set date of September 1st, maybe 3 weeks before. And that TikTok started getting lots of traction, and lots of people on both sides of the political spectrum and all races were sharing and talking about how they were going to participate. But I want to talk a little bit about strategically what happened and why it didn't work. And I kind of saw this going into it. I tried to make a TikTok about how, because it was set for a Friday. Oh, I think we got fruit flies with these peaches. That's okay. Anyway, because it was set for a Friday, and not only a Friday, but a holiday weekend Friday. Labor Day was on Monday. That's not a good time for a strike. Now, there's lots of conversation about when and if an electrical grid attack is going to happen, or like this big blackout, right? Preppers of, various persuasions are talking about, and not even that, the government themselves said it's going to happen on a Friday. What we saw in Silicon Valley a few months ago, back in April, was that bank collapse and the banking things, and that happened on a Friday. So then, like, after that conversation was like, well, yeah, they said it was going to happen on a Friday. The thing about Fridays is they're right before a weekend. And not only that, but a holiday weekend is not a good time to plan a strike. I wasn't the organizer. I was just trying to help it along, totally for it. But I want to talk strategically. If and when the country can find that unity to make a big strike happen, the way to go is to go after the banks and after corporate America. The only reason and way it's going to work is if corporations themselves are hit hard enough by people not participating, not shopping, not showing up to work for an extended period of time, more than just one day before a weekend, especially on a holiday weekend. So I made that TikTok saying, because it's a holiday weekend, if you want this strike to work, it's going to have to hold itself from Friday until after Labor Day. Like, people would have to not go in after that. So, in the future, we're not going to be planning big mass strikes on a weekend or a holiday weekend. It needs to be midweek, and it needs to be felt by large corporations. Now, I think a thing that I want to talk about is counter-organizing, which is what I was seeing a lot of people digging deep and finding this way to... What's the word I'm looking for? I don't know. Folks were saying, oh, this is organized by this, these people go back to BlackRock, shit like that. So the thing about it is, when you're planning a big organizing thing and you're doing it publicly on social media, the ability for that to be co-opted is absolutely huge, okay? So that's why I was saying, if you're participating in the strike, stay in your community, build some mutual aid and relationships within community, things like that, because it's going to take communities coming together to be able to pull away from the system at large. Again, can't be on a weekend, especially not a holiday weekend. And the reason being is because corporate America has already planned for that loss of the holiday, right? It's a federal holiday, it's closed, so they've already planned for that loss. So doing anything on a weekend of a holiday even the same week as a federally recognized holiday is not going to get the momentum that it needs to get. As well as the counter-organizing or agitating that was happening, that was making, I still don't have the word I'm looking for, coming to these conclusions that this was put on by this, or we shouldn't participate for that, or la la la, stuff like that. We as a country are not ready to fully come together with all of our differences, right? Because we're all still yes, I'm pulling it out again. We're all still participating in this because we absolutely have to. So when we do strike, it's going to take all of these rungs on the bottom. You see? You see how much bigger this is than this top part? We have the numbers, but we don't have the organization because people can't get over all of this polarization that has been ingrained in our everything. So those are my things and reasons. I mean, and then not only that, but I saw it really fizzle out, and the people who I first started following, there wasn't a continued organizing technique whatsoever. This was not put together by organizers. And yes, organizing is a field. My baby daddy is an organizer, community organizer. There's an entire field of organizing. And if it's not being done correctly or properly or community led, it's not going to work. So as much as we have passion about stuff, we have to continue to really take these moments and look at them and be like, why didn't this work? What can we do different? But ultimately, it's going to take everybody to participate. And because the inflation and everything is so high, people can't. People are afraid. People are living paycheck to paycheck, ourselves included. And when you have that type of living situation, which is why people are ready to strike, but people also can't be in a space to reap those consequences, because then they're gonna just fuck themselves, which is what I also said. Like, don't do anything that's gonna put you in a position to lose your housing or not be able to feed your family. And we've gotten to that point as a collective society that things are so hard and bad and expensive that people have to. So those are just my 2 cents. I feel like we just need to organize a lot within community. And again, capitalism exists, so people don't have time to do that. The trust issue that I've been mentioning in the past few videos of Collective Coffee especially, like, we're getting to a really intense point where we either don't trust our neighbors or we don't have relationships of trust with them. We don't have systems in place. And this is all part of the Land Back movement. And this should be not putting more labor on Black and brown folks, but white folks who are down need to take a step back and follow the organizing of folks who have been doing this. People who have always been having to look out for their close-knit communities and families in a collectivist way, not individualist. So those are some of the things that I noticed. And yeah, there's lots of strategic tactics that need to be used within organizing, especially at a large scale. A better way to go about that would have been maybe to reach out to local nonprofits, but like nonprofits all over the place, and get folks on board with something like that instead of just an initiative by an individual, because I saw what that did to other people, saying, like, discounting it, So those are the things that I wanted to share. Do not strike or plan any large movement on a weekend or on a Monday of a holiday or any week of a holiday. Remember that if we're ready for striking or revolution, whatever It needs to be felt by the powers that be, and that's not going to happen in a one-day thing unless the scale of it is absolutely monumental. And I would also say unless it's being organized by organizations who are organizing in their community. I think that we as white folks especially can learn, take a step back, and put in that work, but take orders of how to do that, for lack of a better word. Take leadership from those who have been doing it, who know what the fuck they're doing. All right? So, that's all I have for y'all today. I hope you have a great weekend. Don't strike on the weekend. All right, have a good one.